Hey everyone, my name is Chris Anderson and I'm at Indiana Dunes National Park. These dunes sit at the southern end of Lake Michigan and are host to a unique habitat of forests, marshes, and coastal prairies. But how these dunes and this lake get here? Let's find out today on OutSCIder Classroom. With over 4,500 miles of coastline and the largest amount of surface fresh water on the planet, the Great Lakes are one of North America's most beautiful and important natural resources. They provide water for millions of people and thousands of acres of farmland. They're a vital transportation route for industries across the Midwest. And of course, they're home to one of the most unique aquatic ecosystems on the continent. So, how'd these lakes get here? Well, I hope there's some Outcast fans in the building, because what's cooler than being cool? A reduction in atmospheric temperatures for thousands of years at a time, allowing for polar ice caps and continental glaciers to expand. Every 100,000 years or so, the Earth goes through an ice age, prolonged periods where average global temperatures drop. No one really knows why ice ages happen. They could be because of wobbles in the Earth's axis or variations in solar radiation. But what we do know is when the temperature drops, the ice caps expand. At the peak of the last ice age around 20,000 years ago, there was so much ice over North America it was 2.5 miles thick, extending from the North Pole to, well, right around here. But alas, all good parties and ice ages have to end. The Earth's temperature started to warm and the glaciers retreated. But much like the hilarious film franchise of the same name, there were multiple ice ages. There were probably 20 over the last 2 million years or so, and each one left a big impact on the geography of the Midwest. To teach me more about how glaciers have impacted this landscape is my friend, geologist Dr. Erin Argyilan. She's going to stone cold stun me with the stone cold facts about glaciers. So Erin, thanks so much for joining me today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So how did glaciers create the Great Lakes?
Glaciers were coming down from the north, because remember, that's always the coldest point on our planet. So they extended down into the Great Lakes area, and sometimes people think that they were like a wall of ice, but they actually were like fingers descending down over the Great Lakes area, which is how they helped carve out individual Great Lakes. In this area, we have a lot of sedimentary rocks, and so they were able to kind of scour them out, just basically like kind of bulldozing and scraping. And especially in the Lake Michigan basin, we have a lot of limestone and even some sandstone, which is relatively soft compared to the igneous and metamorphic rocks that you'll find in the north in places like even in parts of Wisconsin and specifically in the Canadian Shield. So what they were able to do is they were able to actually carve or down cut into some of our softer rocks. And so they were able to kind of scour them out, just basically like kind of bulldozing and scraping. Is about 18,000 years ago, that lobe from Lake Michigan stopped right here. Right here. And it continued to pile up all that sediment around the margin and actually piled about 200 feet of sediment. And so that 200 feet of till basically formed, imagine in front of me, it formed like a giant dam, because that's another product of the glacial till. Again, it has clay, it doesn't let the water out. So it essentially formed a giant dam in front of where all the meltwater is forming behind it. And we call that an end moraine or a terminal moraine because it's at the end or the edges of that lobe.
So how then do the dunes form? If the dunes weren't formed by the glaciers themselves, how'd all those giant mounds of sand get here?
The dunes were created by all that sand that ended up being pumped down from just wave action along the history of Lake Michigan. So we are actually standing in a leftover little segment of a moraine, and we'll see how this landscape looks drastically different from what you see in the more typical dunes of the Indiana Dunes National Park.
So what kind of evidence can I find if I come for like a hike here of these glacial tills that have been scraped away from, over 10,000, 15,000 years ago?
Well, the first thing you can do is think about the geomorphology, or the shape of the landscape. The other thing we can do is we can just kind of take a sample and look at our sizes. And if you know anything about rivers, you can even go to the store and buy river rock. It's really famous for being polished and smooth and round. That's not what we're seeing here, is it?
No, it's like a chunk instead of like anything that's been like smoothed out by water.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a sign that you've been able to pick something up and move it rather than rolling and bouncing it. So in the dunes, you'll see everything is perfectly round, and that's because it's transported by wind. So the things that we find in an area that's been glaciated may not reflect what's actually in the ground underneath us, but instead the material that glacier would have moved over, cracked up, and carried with it.
Well, Erin, thanks so much for explaining how glaciers impacted all of this beautiful landscape here at Indiana Dunes National Park.
Well, thank you, and thanks for being curious and asking us these questions. Sometimes people think only about the beaches, only about the dunes. They forget about the other amazing ecosystems that we have, and especially the role that glaciers played in just creating this space.
Good thing those ice sheets carved out the Great Lakes, otherwise North America would be a much different place. Consider the fact that these lakes hold over 20% of the Earth's surface fresh water, quenching the thirst of over 30 million people. The Midwest is also a really important agricultural region, growing corn, rice, soybeans, and wheat. All of those crops get irrigated by these waters. Much of America and a good portion of the rest of the world is fed by what's grown right here in this region. The Great Lakes are also a super important transportation route. You got to get all those goods out to the rest of the world somehow. A series of canals called the Great Lakes Waterway connects all the lakes and the St. Lawrence River, allowing access to the Atlantic Ocean. Iron ore being harvested up in Duluth, Minnesota can get shipped out to any port on any continent. But the lakes haven't always been taken care of. Industrial pollution has been dumped into the waters. Fertilizer runoff from farms have caused toxic algae blooms, and then there are invasive species. Those cargo ships that go around the world have picked up zebra and quagga mussel eggs from oceans far away. When those cargo ships reach Midwestern ports and dump their ballast water, out go the eggs who have no natural predators. Their population explodes, and then they outcompete the native species. But there is work being done. Through the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, the Environmental Protection Agency, along with other state and federal departments and local nonprofits, have been working to restore and protect the Great Lakes ecosystem. The Great Lakes are a prime example of how geology and geography impact our daily lives. If it wasn't for those ice sheets carving out the lakes, the Midwest would have a lot less people and a lot less fresh water. Sometimes we like to think of science and social studies as separate subjects and nary the two shall meet. But in reality, they influence each other all the time. Indiana Dunes is a great park to visit. You can go boating, fishing, hiking through the forests and marshes, even go for a swim. OutSCIder classroom rule! And with just an hour's drive from a certain Midwestern town that begins with the C and rhymes with Chicago, it's one of the easiest national parks to get to. It's also important to remember that there's often important restoration work happening within Indiana Dunes National Park. Erosion stops for no one. The wind keeps blowing and the water keeps flowing. And if too many people in too short a time frame are hiking across the dunes, erosion can happen even faster. It's why the park plants native plant species along the dunes to help preserve and protect them. But it's also why some trails get rerouted or closed off completely. If you come across a section of trail that's cordoned off like this one, find another part of the park to explore. Because if we let you walk on the dunes, we're gonna let everybody walk on the dunes, and then there's no dunes for anyone to enjoy. And that's no fun. That's our show. Thanks for watching. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some interglacial sediment cores to sample. We'll see you next time on OutSCIder Classroom. Want to learn more about our national parks? Then hit that subscribe button, friend. Stay up to date and catch bonus features by following us on Instagram @OutSCIder.